I never thought a single object could hold so much power over me. It was just a necklace, or so I told myself. A diamond necklace, delicate, sparkling like the kind of treasure that seems untouchable, yet it had become the center of my life. Not because of the money, but because of what it represented: control, trust, and, unknowingly, my own hidden desires. My wife, Aisha, had it locked in a small wooden box with a tiny brass key that only she possessed. She had given it to me as a joke, one evening during our anniversary. "You'll wear it when you deserve it," she said, laughing, her eyes glinting with mischief, "but the key is mine." I laughed too, thinking it was playful, that it was just another quirky part of our relationship. I had no idea that joke would evolve into a personal journey I never imagined. I remember that evening vividly, the way the soft glow of the lamp reflected off the crystal vase in our living room, the smell of jasmine from the open balcony, and the quiet sound of the city drifting in. I held the small wooden box in my hand, feeling its weight, turning it over slowly, wondering what Aisha really meant. I was never a man obsessed with jewelry, but somehow, this tiny locked box seemed to awaken a new kind of tension inside me. Not fear, not exactly, but curiosity tinged with anxiety. I wanted it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to wear it. And somehow, I knew I couldn't just ask for it. That would defeat the entire purpose of the key, the lock, the game we had begun. Days passed, and the box sat untouched on my dresser, mocking me silently. Aisha carried the key with her everywhere. Sometimes, she would flash it at me across the room, a teasing grin on her face, and I would feel my chest tighten with an unfamiliar mix of longing and frustration. It was a subtle torment, and over time, I realized that my obsession wasn't just about the necklace anymore. It was about the act of being trusted with it, about proving myself worthy, about submission in a way I had never consciously explored. One evening, Aisha invited me to a small gathering at our friend's house. It was casual, nothing fancy, yet she whispered in my ear before we left, "Tonight, I want you to do something for me. Wear something special. Something different." I frowned, unsure of what she meant, but she only smiled, her eyes glinting with that secret knowledge that always unsettled me. At home, I stared into the mirror, feeling the unease settle in my chest. My usual routine didn't feel enough. My regular shirt and trousers seemed dull, inadequate. And then her words echoed again, "Something different." I don't know what compelled me, whether it was her control over the necklace, the power she unknowingly held over me, or simply curiosity, but I found myself wandering into our bedroom closet. Aisha had a small corner for old costumes and party outfits, remnants of her theater days. There, I found a dress. Not elaborate, not fancy, just a simple, silky dress, pale pink, soft to the touch. I hesitated, my mind screaming, but my hands moved as if guided by someone else. I slid into it, feeling the fabric cling to my body in ways that were foreign, alien even, yet strangely comforting. When I stepped in front of the mirror, I hardly recognized myself. The reflection staring back was softer, delicate, vulnerable. There was a strange thrill, a shiver running down my spine. My heart raced, and I realized that the act of dressing like this, something I had always assumed was forbidden for me, felt terrifying and exhilarating all at once. I had never felt such a mixture of fear and anticipation. And then Aisha entered the room. Her laughter was soft, gentle, yet carried an edge that made my stomach twist. "Perfect," she said. "Absolutely perfect." She handed me the box, the necklace gleaming faintly in the dim light. "Wear it," she instructed. My hands shook as I took the necklace, holding it in front of me like a fragile bird. My reflection in the mirror now seemed entirely different. I fastened the clasp around my neck, the cool metal against my skin sending shivers down my spine. The weight of it was nothing compared to the weight of what it represented. As I looked at myself, I noticed something shift within me. The anxiety, the fear of judgment, the rigid boundaries I had placed around my identity, they all seemed to melt away. I was no longer just me, the man I had always been. I was someone else, someone softer, more exposed, yet strangely empowered. The necklace wasn't just jewelry anymore, it was a key. Not a key to a box, but a key to a door inside myself I had never opened. That night, at the gathering, I walked in with Aisha by my side, feeling the dress sway against my legs and the necklace catching the soft light of the room. Friends smiled, complimented, and my heart pounded. There was no shame, only a peculiar pride, an acknowledgement that I was stepping into a part of myself I had always hidden. Aisha's hand rested lightly on my back, guiding me, anchoring me, and I realized that her control over the necklace had always been a form of trust, a challenge, and an invitation all at once. As the night went on, I felt eyes on me, not with judgment, but with curiosity, admiration even. I could hear snippets of conversations. She looks radiant, absolutely stunning. And yet, the strangest part was that I didn't feel like I was pretending. I felt real. Entirely real. I returned home that night, exhausted, exhilarated, and somehow lighter than I had ever felt. The necklace remained locked in its box afterward, but I carried its meaning with me. I carried the knowledge that I had faced something deeply personal and emerged transformed. The days that followed were both a continuation and an evolution. Aisha noticed subtle changes in the way I moved, the way I spoke, the way I thought about myself. Sometimes, she would leave the key within reach, watching silently, observing the tension in my hands, the longing in my eyes. I began experimenting in private, slipping into dresses and skirts when no one was around, practicing, learning, embracing this new dimension of myself. The necklace remained a constant, a symbol of what I had unlocked within. Then came the moment that changed everything. Aisha, in her quiet, deliberate way, handed me the key one morning without a word. My hands trembled as I took it. I realized in that instant that the act of being trusted, of holding the key, was more significant than the object itself. It was a gesture of acceptance, of acknowledgement of the person I was becoming. I unlocked the box, lifted the necklace, and held it close. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't hiding. I was stepping fully into this identity, this transformation, and it was terrifying, yet freeing. The process wasn't simple. There were moments of doubt, fear of exposure, shame that crept in unexpectedly. Yet, each time I wore the dress, each time I fastened the necklace, I felt a little stronger, a little more myself. Aisha supported me in subtle ways, encouraging, guiding, never forcing, but always present. Our relationship deepened, transformed alongside me, and I realized that her control over the necklace had never been about domination, it had been about trust, discovery, and love. I began documenting my transformation, privately at first. I looked at old photographs, comparing the man I used to be with the person I was becoming. Each image told a story, a journey from hesitation to courage, from fear to acceptance. The necklace, the dresses, the quiet, intimate moments, they all wove together into a tapestry of self-realization. I was discovering the parts of myself I had denied for years, and in doing so, I was forging a new kind of courage. One evening, Aisha sat beside me as I tried on a new dress, one of her more elaborate pieces, with lace and delicate embroidery. I was nervous, self-conscious, yet she looked at me with such warmth and admiration that my heart ached. "You're beautiful," she whispered, inside and out. "Not because of what you wear, but because of who you are." I felt tears sting my eyes, an overwhelming rush of gratitude and love. This necklace, this key, these dresses, they were symbols, yes, but they were symbols of something infinitely more profound: identity, trust, courage, and the freedom to be wholly myself. The days turned into weeks, and the transformation I had begun to embrace became a part of my daily life. It was subtle at first, hidden behind closed doors, but gradually, it grew bolder, more confident. Aisha never rushed me, never pressured me, but her quiet encouragement was everywhere, in the way she smiled when I tried a new outfit, in the gentle praise for the smallest gestures, in the way she left the key within reach without a word. That simple brass key became more than just a key to a box, it became a key to freedom, a symbol of trust and acceptance that I had never known I needed. One evening, as rain tapped softly against the windows, Aisha suggested we host a small dinner at home. She was her usual vibrant self, wearing a sleek emerald dress, hair perfectly styled, but there was a glint in her eyes that made my stomach flutter. I hesitated, unsure if I was ready to reveal this new version of myself, even in the safety of our home. But when she placed the key in my hand with a soft, It's your choice tonight. I realized I didn't want to hide anymore. I unlocked the box and lifted the necklace, its diamonds catching the dim light like tiny stars. I chose a dress I had grown comfortable in, soft lavender with delicate lace that hugged my form. As I fastened the necklace around my neck, I felt a tremor of nerves mixed with exhilaration. For the first time, I understood fully that transformation was not just about outward appearance, it was about the courage to embrace who you truly are, even if it defied expectation, even if it frightened you. The guests arrived, and I greeted them with a calm I hadn't expected. At first, I noticed subtle glances, whispers that cut through the room like a soft current. But their smiles were genuine, warm, and accepting. Compliments flowed naturally, and with each word, I felt a weight lifting from my chest. I was not pretending. I was living authentically, and the necklace shimmered not just with light, but with the confidence and identity it now represented. Aisha's support was my anchor. She moved gracefully around the room, ensuring everything was perfect, but her eyes always found mine, silently reminding me of the trust we had built. Later that night, after the last guest had left, we sat together on the couch. I rested my head on her shoulder, feeling a profound gratitude that I could not put into words. I never imagined this, I whispered, that I could feel this free. She stroked my hair gently, her voice calm and certain. You've always been free, she said, but now, you see it too. The transformation was not just external. It changed how I interacted with the world, how I viewed myself, how I navigated life. I began experimenting with small expressions of femininity even outside the house, subtle choices that brought me joy, a scarf draped a certain way, shoes that made me feel graceful, a hairstyle that softened my face. Each choice was a declaration of identity, a quiet rebellion against the old boundaries I had imposed on myself. Yet, the most profound moments remained those shared with Aisha. She never treated me as anything less than whole, never mocked or diminished me. Instead, she nurtured the discovery, celebrating every small victory. There were moments of doubt, moments when fear crept in, whispering that this was wrong or that someone would judge. But each time, the necklace around my neck, the key in my hand, and her unwavering presence reminded me that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. One afternoon, she surprised me with a mirror. Not just any mirror, but one that reflected my form in full, capturing every detail, every curve, every subtle movement. I stood before it, necklace glinting, dress flowing, and for the first time, I saw not a disguise, but the real me. The reflection was not a mask, it was an awakening. Tears filled my eyes as I realized that the person I had feared would never be accepted was finally seen, fully and without reservation. The journey deepened when Aisha suggested I try creating my own style. She handed me fabrics, scissors, and ideas, encouraging me to craft outfits that reflected my identity. Sewing, designing, experimenting, it became a form of expression that was both therapeutic and empowering. I poured emotion into each creation, each stitch a testament to growth, self-acceptance, and courage. Aisha watched, always patient, offering advice but never taking control. Through this, our bond strengthened, built not on expectation or tradition, but on trust, love, and the freedom to be authentic. Then came the first time I ventured out fully dressed, with the necklace around my neck and confidence in my stride. Walking into a boutique, feeling the curious yet respectful glances, I felt fear flutter in my chest, but it was quickly replaced by exhilaration. I was alive in a way I had never been before. Each compliment, each polite smile, each acknowledgement of my presence reinforced the reality that identity is not bound by the world's expectations but by one's own courage to embrace it. The necklace remained the centerpiece of my transformation, locked and unlocked, symbolizing control, trust, and acceptance. It taught me that some keys are more than metal, they are gateways to understanding oneself, to exploring dimensions of identity long buried under fear and doubt. The dresses, the moments of reflection, the shared glances with Aisha, they all became threads in a tapestry of authenticity. Months passed, and the transformation became seamless. I no longer needed secluded moments to express myself, my identity integrated into my daily life. Work, social gatherings, family events, I navigated them with a newfound grace and confidence. The necklace, once a symbol of playful control, had become a talisman of self-acceptance, reminding me of the journey from hesitation to courage, from fear to empowerment. One night, alone with Aisha, I held the necklace in my hands and reflected on the journey. "I never thought a single piece of jewelry could change my life," I whispered. She smiled, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "It wasn't the jewelry," she said softly, "it was you. The necklace only gave you permission to see yourself, to accept yourself." I realized then that transformation is not a moment, it is a process, a continuous journey of discovery, courage, and authenticity. It is about confronting fear, embracing vulnerability, and celebrating the freedom to be wholly oneself. The necklace was more than a diamond. It was a mirror, a key, and a guide. And through it, I had found not just a new identity, but a new life, a life defined by trust, love, and unapologetic authenticity. Even now, when I look at the necklace, still locked in its box, I smile. I remember the trembling hands, the racing heart, the first hesitant steps into dresses and skirts. I remember the fear, the doubt, the thrill of discovery. And I know, without a doubt, that the key was never about unlocking a box, it was about unlocking me. And that journey, that transformation, is the most precious treasure I will ever possess. The journey continues, every day a new chapter, every choice a reaffirmation of courage and identity. The necklace sparkles, yes, but it shines brightest because it reflects a truth I finally dared to embrace: the courage to be seen, the strength to be loved, and the freedom to live authentically, unapologetically, fully. And in the end, I am no longer defined by fear or hesitation. I am defined by the choice to step into the light, to hold the key, to wear the necklace, and to finally be me.